Over the last 3 years, I've interviewed 100 health experts on a mission to figure out what's the best diet. Because what we eat impacts how we think, how we feel, our sleep, our libido, our energy, our mood, and in large part, the trajectory of our life.
Food is the most powerful influence on human health.
Diet is everything for every part of your body.
Your diet that you eat on a daily basis, that is 90% of your health.
If you change your diet in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be completely free. Every species has a diet. We have a dog, 4 chickens, and a tortoise. I feed the tortoise differently than I feed the dog. Every species needs to eat in a way that its body can utilize and absorb that nutrition.
There is nothing in this world more powerful in its effect on your health than food.
It changes the way you feel and function on a daily basis.
Every morsel of food you put in your mouth changes everything in your body.
It literally can change your life.
Your body is constantly repairing itself, constantly healing damage. All we have to do is respect that work and provide the body what it needs: food.
Now, the inevitable question is, if what we put into our bodies has such a big impact on our health and life, then what should humans be eating? And now this video could be like 5 hours long with all the things that I've learned, but I think Dr. Ken Berry does a great job summing up all that I've learned in about 1 sentence.
What we're all doing is we're all bumping around in the dark, trying to rediscover what a proper human diet actually is.
After 100 conversations, the one thing I can say with 100% confidence is no one has all the answers. We're all just trying to figure it out together. But even though there's a lot of nuance and debate on what is the exact perfect diet, I did find everyone seemed to agree on 6 common things for what makes up a healthy diet. First thing, prioritize protein.
Protein is definitely, without question, the most important single macronutrient.
It is the building blocks to everything in your body.
Because protein will help build muscle, it creates more insulin receptors.
It affects gut hormones.
It's used to make beautiful hair, beautiful nails, beautiful skin.
Really important for reproductive health and for tissue maintenance.
Everyone's losing protein all day, every day, from shedding skin cells and shedding the lining of your GI tract and making all your hormones and turnover of all your structures.
When people have more muscle mass, more protein, they have better, longer, healthier lives.
So I think people should start off the day with protein.
Eat more protein than you probably think you should.
You just have to eat protein.
We actually have a protein deficiency worldwide. We have people that aren't getting enough protein from birth to death, and this is causing significant burden of disease.
We're under eating protein, especially the older you get, your appetite's less, and the portions get smaller with elderly people, and they're just starving for protein.
We actually need more protein as we age, not less.
Older people have higher protein requirements than younger people because they have anabolic resistance.
So grandma needs more protein than the grandkids do at the Thanksgiving table.
As you age, a higher protein diet is imperative. Muscle is the organ of longevity and regulates everything about your body and the trajectory of your health. It becomes much more difficult to maintain as you age.
After the age of 65, if you fall and break a hip, your risk of death in the next year is like 30 to 40%. So as we age, we develop something called age-related sarcopenia.
Elderly populations with sarcopenia is just muscle wasting, atrophying. They just get old, little, and frail. This is directly related to longevity and quality of life.
If you are a woman who is going through menopause or perimenopause, or you are an older adult, I strongly suggest that you utilize a protein-forward diet and you optimize for dietary protein.
Most women are severely deficient in protein. If you're eating at the recommended daily allowance, which is 0.8 grams per kilogram, that's basically enough to prevent deficiency, like to prevent chronic disease, but that's not optimal for function.
And 50 grams of protein in a day is not enough. That's way too low.
So when it comes to how much protein to eat,
1 gram per pound ideal body weight will cover nearly everybody's needs.
Target a gram per pound of ideal or reference body weight.
I think a gram per pound body weight, more if you're sedentary, older, or have metabolic disease.
And to give a couple examples of what these doctors mean when they say to eat around 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, if someone would like to weigh 130 pounds, then I would aim to eat about 130 grams of protein a day. Or if someone's goal weight is 180 pounds, then I would aim to eat about 180 grams of protein a day. And for perspective, a pound of ribeye is 130 grams, pound of salmon, 115 grams of protein, chicken, 140 grams, pork Pork chops, 130 grams, and a pound of 80-20 ground beef, 114 grams of protein. The second thing everyone agrees on is eat healthy fats, avoid vegetable and seed oils.
Most Americans are consuming very low quality fats. We're consuming a lot of omega-6 oils and processed foods because if you turn over anything with a box or a bag at the grocery store, it's going to have soybean oil, canola oil.
We absolutely need to be eating good oils, not bad oils. That, of all the nutritional changes that we make, that has to be the most important one.
The majority of naturopath, functional medicine doctors, nutritionists, dietitians, the majority of them will tell you to stay away from seed oils because they are very pro-inflammatory.
If you replace the saturated fat found in butter and red meat and eggs, if you replace that with a vegetable oil like corn oil, people get sicker quicker. People actually get cancer more often and they actually have more heart disease.
Because bad oils like canola oil, vegetable oil, they live in your system for over 200 days. They're gumming up the cells.
The exact oils that the American Heart Association tells you are the healthful oils, those are exactly what are going to damage your LDL particles and increase inflammation.
They are poisonous. There is no other word for it. They are poisonous for human body.
When we started consuming lots of things like cottonseed oil, canola oil, processed high sugar foods, processed grains, that's when the true heart disease epidemic took off.
Consuming less low quality fats, more high quality fats, which are going to come from animal foods, right? So red meat gets a bad rap.
Fat consumption must come from animal products.
So we need to increase fatty fish and beef and eggs. And
pork fat, lamb fat, beef fat, goose fat, butter, chicken fat, duck fat, animal fats.
There's so many options out there that I think are more natural and healthy for you that you can just avoid it and don't run the risk of the inflammation that you could get from the seed oils.
And just to clarify, I don't think the problem with vegetable and seed oils is that they come from vegetables and seeds. I think the bigger issue with these oils is that never in our human history would we have had access to large quantities of these oils. A human never found a bush of pure fat from soybeans. Instead, they would have had access to tallow, milk, lard, and other animal fats. So with these vegetable and seed oils, by having large quantities of them, we're introducing these foreign components to our bodies that they're not used to having. But I think even a bigger problem is that these oils are unstable and heat sensitive. To extract the fat out of a soybean, it can be damaged by heat, light, and oxygen, and these oils are hydrogenated, which damages them even more, where they can become rancid and oxidize more quickly when they're heated up.
Damaged fats on top of that, chemically mutilated fats.
Therefore, consuming these oils is like putting bad, damaged fats into our system, creating oxidative stress, which can lead to
heart disease with blockages in the arteries, with plaque in the arteries,
dementia, malformations in babies, heart problems, allergies, asthma, eczema,
depression and anxiety, diabetes, high blood pressure, infertility, I mean, you name it.
Because they overload your body with fats which are inappropriate for its structure and physiology.
Other than that, there's no problem with these vegetable and seed oils. Okay, the third thing that everyone agrees on is eat less sugar.
The most addictive substance on the planet, by far, is sugar. There is nothing as powerful in creating an addiction than sugar.
There is a specific quality that gets you high.
Sugar is 6 to 8 times more addictive than cocaine.
Far more addictive than illicit drugs, cocaine, or anything else. People also find that surprising because everybody's eating these things, so everybody's addicted.
This addictive property to it by lighting up the receptors similar to morphine.
It's very addictive. When they gave rats water solution infused with cocaine and water solution infused with sugar, 94% of the rodents went for that, and that shocked the researchers. So they were like, maybe we're not using enough cocaine. Even at ever increasing cocaine concentrations, 94% of the rodents still chose the sweet taste.
It just plays such a toll in our, our dopamine receptors and making us, that feel good. Because there's not a person on the planet that's not going to tell you something sweet just doesn't always sound good.
The more you consume, the better it feels.
I've noticed how addictive sugar is. with kids, and it kills me. Like when I have 2 daughters. I tested my daughter's cookies and it spiked my blood sugar through the roof. And she's freaking out crying, like because the sugar wore off, and that's what always happens to kids. It's a drug.
Your brain multiple times a day is thinking about where my cookies, where's my ice cream, where's my Coke and M&Ms. And about every 15 to 20 minutes, my brain would say, oh, I need some M&Ms. Oh, I'm hungry, I need something. And you're not hungry. What you're looking for is emotional restitution.
My hunger cues I can trust. When you're on a blood sugar roller coaster up and down, that advice goes out the window, because as soon as you hit the down, you're hungry again. It's like being addicted to drugs.
For example, sugar, if it's causing damage at the level of the mouth, causing bacteria to eat holes in your enamel, we can just imagine what it's doing downstream of that.
You know, I do nutritional assessments for people. It's very extensive. And what comes out of it 9 times out of 10 is dysbiosis or high blood sugar. And both of those, you know, are because of a highly processed diet. You've ruined your gut, and you've got your body is crying because there's just too much sugar in the system.
Obesity, diabetes, hypertension, infertility, that is exclusively carbohydrate toxicity.
If your C-peptide or your fasting insulin are elevated, then I know you're eating too many carbohydrates for your personal biochemistry. That is going to increase your risk of heart attack and stroke.
1 out of 3 people are pre-diabetic in our country, and they estimate that 80% of them don't even have a clue. Think about that. 1 out of 3 people watching this maybe are pre-diabetic. Why? Not because they ate too much, it didn't work out enough, because they spike blood sugar multiple times a day, every single day, weeks, months, years, abuse the hell out of their pancreas, unfortunately, and the pancreas is about to just quit.
Chronic excessive carbohydrate consumption will do harm, and it does harm through insulin resistance.
The reason why obesity is so rampant right now in our country is because people are eating processed, refined bread, cereal, bagels, pasta that spike blood sugar through the roof.
You're raising your inflammation, you're raising your glucose, you're raising your insulin, you're throwing your body into a metabolic mess.
Have led to inadequate facial structure development, which has led to our teeth not fitting into our head, which has led to oral surgeons, you know, making a killing, taking out those wisdom teeth.
We know that people that develop gestational diabetes, the mom themselves is not only at a lifetime increased risk of developing diabetes, obesity, and heart disease, but her baby is as well.
We got a big problem. Obesity, massive problem. Childhood diabetes, childhood obesity. If you look around at all the kids these days, they're fat because they're eating the wrong types of foods. Unfortunately, if you look at it, in poor communities, you see the most overweight kids. So if it was because these kids are eating 5,000 calories a day, many of them can't even afford 2 meals a day. They're getting food stamps with what? Processed and refined carbohydrates that spike blood sugar like crazy.
So I do general pediatric dentistry once a day. And so for kids, a huge thing is do not drink high C, like these fruit drinks, fruit juices, sodas. Like that's what kids drink. And like that wrecks your dentitions.
When you're on a standard American diet or modern American diet, you're constantly depleting nutrients, constantly going into a state of deficiency based on what you're eating. So you have, 1 molecule of sugar and you're depleting 50 molecules of magnesium. You can't keep up with that.
And so much of this can be prevented or reversed by getting rid of carbohydrates, eliminating or reducing carbohydrates, and eating significantly more animal foods and animal proteins.
I think the way that we were supposed to eat is that lower carb, that we didn't eat 50, 60%, some people 80% of their diet coming from carbohydrates, usually poor carbohydrates, because we just kept adding more and more carbohydrates to our diet, especially with this fallacy of low fat being good for you. We are used to lots of carbs being normal, but that's high. So I'm not asking people to be low. I'm asking them to be normal, normal carbs. But it does look to people as low carb because it's way lower than what they're used to. But I think it's what the human body thrives on is a lower carb diet.
Now there's some debate on how much sugar is too much sugar, and should we be avoiding just the chemically extracted man-made sugar or all forms of sugar? So here's my opinion and takeaways from the conversations. You'll know if you're having too much sugar based on how you feel. If you're feeling great, then you're probably doing fine. And then as far as which sugars to avoid, to me, what logically makes sense is I would avoid any sugar that's man-made. And that doesn't just apply to sugar, man-made anything. Man-made sugar, man-made trans fats, man-made food coloring, man-made anything. I would just keep your eyebrow raised and know it ain't natural and our bodies aren't used to it. The naturally occurring trans fats in meat is completely different than the artificial trans fats in French fries. Similarly, the chemically extracted sugar and high fructose corn syrup in soda is more foreign to our bodies than the naturally occurring sugars in milk, beef liver, eggs, fruit, honey, yogurt, and vegetables. I mean, technically, there's even small trace amounts of glucose found in meat. So again, the question is more how much sugar is too much sugar, and that's where I'd go based off of how I feel. Fourth thing everyone agrees on is supplements do not beat whole foods. Now that doesn't mean supplements aren't helpful, but often I'm asked, Lillie, what supplements should I be taking? And I think a better question is what foods should I be eating to get in my nutrition?
That's how I view supplements in general. If this is what you need and you're trying to rely on a supplement to give you that much, there's a problem. A supplement is supposed to be like, okay, this is how much you need to be optimal and you're getting this much in the diet and you just want to kind of like top it off. Okay, that's how I view supplements.
Now, certain people may need to incorporate more supplementation based on the foods they have in their diet or if they're trying to heal quicker, but otherwise food should be able to provide the bulk of nutrition with the exception of 1, vitamin D, so get out in that sun, or I'd consider supplementing with vitamin D3 and magnesium.
What you have to think is, let's go back in time 100,000 years. What did people drink? Did they drink city water? Did they drink water that was devoid of minerals and electrolytes? No, they drank surface groundwater. They drank water out of a stream, out of a river, out of a lake, out of a mud puddle. All of these sources are rich in minerals and rich in the electrolytes. So I think that they didn't have to worry about supplementing with electrolytes because they were naturally supplementing by drinking groundwater. And all of those sources are rich in these electrolytes and minerals.
We used to find magnesium in our water supply, but even I live on a well. I live way out in the woods on a well, and our well it's devoid of magnesium. And the next best source is halibut, which doesn't have nearly as much magnesium as what we used to find in our water supply. So things like magnesium is a really great supplement.
Plants have no minerals. It's a joke. The soil has no minerals. We all know that. The soil is depleted. There's like nothing in there. So the reality is even the animals are pretty deficient in magnesium and boron and some other things because there is nothing in the soil. So many of us may need to be still grabbing more minerals.
I recommend that you go out of your way to get minerals and potassium and magnesium.
I think electrolytes. So that is one thing that I've taken.
Magnesium or vitamin D are two that most people are pretty deficient in. I think those two are very important. Even supplementing with trace minerals in your water, because we're not getting these things in our soil.
No matter what diet anyone eats, like 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium.
Now, as far as deficiencies, I just had some lab work done a month ago, and it showed that I was deficient in vitamin D and magnesium.
So I think a lot of people try to do just beef and water. And so I think a lot of those people are going to have trouble because they're not getting enough salt in their diet, because they're not getting enough electrolytes and minerals in their diet, because the water that they are drinking has been artificially treated to remove. First of all, remove dangerous things, of course. That's why it's treated, but it also removes most of the minerals and electrolytes. And so therefore you're winding up electrolyte depleted.
One of the ways I get more magnesium in my diet is through a drink mix called Element. It also provides me more sodium and potassium. It's an easy and delicious way for me to get in more magnesium. I just take this packet, dump it into my water or milk, mix it up, and I'm good to go. If you want to check out Element, you can use the link in the description to get 8 additional packets of all of Element's different flavors for free with your order. Element does offer a money-back guarantee, so if you try it and you don't like it, you can get your money back. Again, you can get 8 free additional packets of Element by using the link in the description or by going to the URL drinkelement.com/Lillie Kane. The 5th agreed upon theme is fruits and vegetables are flavor.
A lot of people don't have to eat 100% carnivore, but I think optimal health is going to be found on the diet we evolved on, which is 70% fatty meat, and then add the veg or plants of your choice that don't seem to cause inflammation within your personal biochemistry and physiology.
You know, there's always the argument of why doesn't everybody just eat carnivore? Because obviously all of these plants do have these
plant toxins. So even if we're having a little bit, why would you ever say I'm going to have a little bit of poison?
I mean, in theory, yeah, you could say, well, everyone could go carnivore and we'll all fix their health issues and things. I'll be honest, like I used to believe that, but it doesn't really work like that.
There's toxins in plants, sure. And there've always been toxins in plants. Are they problematic for every single person? No, not at all. I mean, there are people that live on a lot of plants and do just fine. I mean, and again, I almost cringe as much as I see when I see veganism, when I see people out there saying, vegetables are poison, we shouldn't eat them. I don't like vegetables, I think they suck. But I don't miss them at all. But I'm not going to tell everybody they're poison or killing people.
It makes sense in theory that, okay, if these things are toxic, then we should be able to survive without them and we shouldn't eat them. I don't think they're toxic for everyone. That's one thing. I do think that there's benefits that can be gotten. In fact, I think that if someone's in moderately good state, then actually some of these toxins found in plants can actually have beneficial effects.
For the longest time, I was doing these interviews and I couldn't figure out why, if people can get all of the vitamins and minerals they need from meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, then why would people incorporate fruits and veggies in their diet? And time after time, the answer kept being,
people would prefer to have more varieties.
I love having the variety. I like having the color on my plate.
Because plants bring us variety. They bring us flavors. They bring us colors. They bring us cleansing.
Flavor and the aroma and the organoleptic qualities and all the rest of it. I love the taste, the texture, the smell of certain vegetables in my diet.
It's just a spice of life. Life is about joy. The purpose of life is joy.
We should think of food as not only fuel, but also part of the pleasurable human experience.
There are a lot of reasons why we eat food. There's a lot of ways that we nourish ourselves. Nourishing ourselves biologically, meeting our biological needs, is one component of a much larger puzzle that we have to piece together to be fully nourished. We have to meet our emotional needs. We have to meet our cultural needs. Some of us have to meet our religious needs, or all sorts of different things. And when all that comes together, we're fully nourished.
I have a teenage son, and if I'm with him, I have to model flexibility.
During the day, I'm just kind of eating for function, and at nighttime, I'm eating for pleasure. And it's like I'm eating like cake or pastries and stuff at nighttime. Just a little bit of berries gives me like a little spike in pleasure.
So fruit is not off the table for me. But if people would eat fruit in a way that it was actually a treat versus all day long, every day, then they wouldn't see a piece of cake as a treat. They could see a bowl of strawberries after dinner as a treat and enjoy that instead. It's so much healthier for you than that piece of cake.
So I would do carnivore for health reasons if it were me, but personality wise, I like to be less rigid. I did very rigid diets for so many years, and I prefer to not be rigid.
Something like a lacto-fermented sauerkraut with that crunch and that smell and that little bit of tang is absolutely fantastic. I love eating pork. I love eating pork with sauerkraut.
And I'll have an avocado. Or I'll have some olives or some pickles.
So there's things that I really, really enjoy that are definitely not carnivore.
I don't think you have to be 100% carnivore unless you have one of those dastardly medical problems, like a mental health issue or a bowel issue or a skin issue. Then you may need to eat 100% carnivore to keep those things at bay. But a lot of people don't have to eat 100% carnivore.
We need to understand that you're allowed to have anything that you want to have. The only thing that matters is why are you doing it, and is what you're going to do going to help you or hurt you? That's it. That's all that matters. So if you want to have blueberries, have freaking blueberries. If you want to have asparagus, if you want to have Brussels sprouts, if you want to have whatever it may be, then go for it. If it's setting you back in your progress, that's when you need to sit back and think about, is it worth it?
Now, I will say some people said that fruits and veggies helped with their sleep, helped them build muscle, helped their metabolism.
And I feel that it helps me sleep.
To help with performance.
Once I started eating more of the fruit and like some sweet potatoes and some other stuff, my body temperature is raised, and you just check it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, and it's going up. You can kind of see it go up. I'm able to eat more calories now. That's why it's called pro-metabolic. It's like your metabolism is higher.
And this is just my opinion, but I would think it's less of the fruits and veggies that's helping with their sleep, metabolism, and muscle gains, and it's more so the carbs. So they probably could have had more milk and yogurt if they tolerate dairy and had similar results. But if they enjoy fruits and veggies and it doesn't cause them an issue, then that works too. Yes, nowadays fruits and veggies are bred for sugar content and size. They're picked before they're ripe, sprayed with a bunch of chemicals. but meat, fish, and eggs are manipulated for color and for fat content. Unfortunately, a lot of animals are fed highly sprayed corn, soy, and grains. Therefore, their meat and fat content has more omega-6 and overall a little bit less nutrients. All food seems to be a little bit manipulated nowadays, unless you buy from a local farmer or grow the food in your own garden. So for us, we just try our best and try to find peace that it's all gonna be okay. Which leads to the last thing everyone seemed to have in common about the recipe for a healthy diet. Take your daily chill pill. A spoonful of chillax. Take a breather, get some fresh air, go outside, spend time with your family, read a book, lay in the sun.
Honestly, don't think the diet would have worked if I was in a stress state, if I was still fighting my situation, if I was still angry, sad, all those kinds of things. We can see from many studies now that have come out that when someone is stressed, it suppresses the immune system.
Again, you can be eating the most perfect diet, but if your stress levels are so high that you're shredding your intestinal lining because of all that excess cortisol, and you're not absorbing the food or the nutrients anyway and causing dysbiosis, and maybe now you're developing candida. Like, all these things can happen because of stress.
You fix the food, that's great. That's a good start, and it's going to get you probably 80% of the way.
Stress plays a role in heart disease and is a risk factor for heart disease.
I think really getting back to nature and being in the moment will help maximize not just longevity, but quality of life.
Absolutely mind your sleep. Absolutely mind your stress levels. Absolutely go out and get some sun. And
meditation, the gratitude, the exercise, the sunshine, that's non-negotiable. That's always in.
I do the heat therapy. I do swimming.
Go for a walk outside barefoot.
I would write out about 100 different affirmations.
I journal every morning. I also write down words of gratitude. What am I grateful for this morning? It forces me to look at life in a certain way. And then I stop nitpicking or focusing on the negatives or over stressing.
Having some gratitude practices and being more present in the moment.
Really taking myself less seriously, putting less importance on things, and building out this whole day of things that would bring me joy.
I do the 5-minute journal, and I also practice stoicism.
I do 10 minutes meditation too, and it's insane how much more grounded I feel. Like, it's so much less stressful, and it's insane how much that can happen from 10 minutes of meditation.
You can only control you. That's it. Anything outside of you, you can't control it. And if you let those things implode inside of you and stress you out, you're not doing yourself any favors.
While diet plays a massive role in our health, stress is a killer. So even if I'm eating the cleanest, healthiest diet, if I'm stressed out of my mind, I can still contract disease, not lose weight, have mental health issues, not sleep well, have low energy, etc. So eat some steak, lay in the sun, and pop a chill pill, which I mostly say this for me. I'm over here swallowing handfuls of these every day, and they still ain't working. So if you have any recommendations, you let me know. One of you commented for me to read this book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I bought it that day, I read it, I loved it. And if you have any other book recommendations, please leave them in the comments. I will read them, and I'll link 3 of my favorite books that have really helped me slow down, overcome childhood trauma, find some more peace, be in the present moment. I'll link those 3 books that I love in the description as well. Don't be silly, subscribe to Lillie, and now this Lil's gonna go chill.